Okay, this is part 4, I believe, of the series, where I'm going to finish up, or hopefully maybe no more than one more episode of this. What I've got to do now is I need to put all the Pololu stuff in here somehow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the camera, open this thing up, and think about it, and then I'll come back and we'll see how we're going to do this. Okay, so this is kind of about as good a picture you're going to get of the insides of this thing. It looks like I can fit the Pololu in here. I had to build this for my little what do you call it, mock-up. I didn't have any other standoffs. I have some on order, but they may not get here for weeks. And so I'm going to put that in here. Once I get it mounted, then I will mount the Pololu. I will the Sense can mount on this stud that I had already put in here for this relay. I've checked to see if there was any continuity between it and any of the other circuits, and there isn't. So that's good. And then we have this little buck converter that takes the 12 volts from the battery and connects that directly, or turns that to 5 volts for this. Now I won't be able to completely close this up because I'm still waiting on some parts that won't be here for about maybe a week. Although for this video you may or may not see that in just a few minutes. The parts I need are for the servo to go from the Pololu to the servo. I need an extension, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to connect it up here, drill a hole or something, run it out, and then plug the servo into that. That way I don't have to open this thing up to unplug the servo, because I want this whole box to be able to come undone. One thing I did do is I readjusted the buck converter for the 12 volts out, because I wanted it to be more like what you would find on a car, which is actually between 13.8 and 14.4 volts. So I upped the voltage to 14.4, and it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Plus it'll mean that the battery that's hooked up to this will charge better. So guess I'll get to work trying to get this thing in here. template. Line that up with holes, so that needs to go right. Oops, backwards. There it is. Putting a little bit of Loctite on this because I don't want this stuff shaking loose. And it will shake loose. I'm using blue Loctite. You don't really want to use red Loctite as it will requires heat to remove it. So that's the mounting points for the Pololu. If you're wondering why I'm not removing this lid, is it's would be very difficult to remove this lid without removing buttons or desoldering things. So sorry about that. Alright, this is going to be a lot of boring stuff. People don't watch my videos anyways, so we'll come back when something interesting is going on. Alright, sorry I didn't film that. It would have been extremely difficult to work on it and film it at the same time. It's just too much fiddly work that I had to do. Too much tight spaces, and trying to keep it in camera would have just been a giant pain in the butt. So I got it, everything's done except for the connection for the servo. I have I've tested it. I have mounted the governor control here. Down is off. I was thinking about fixing this so that down was off, but the problem is I'd have to desolder a bunch of stuff and I'm lazy. So the rest of this, oh, and I've also got the hole drilled for USB. I just have to square it up. but you can see the USB port inside of it. So once I've got that squared up, and then that way you can be able to plug in a USB plug. And I think that's it for now. I need to put some labels on this, get the parts that are for the thing, and it'll be mostly done. I think there may be still a few tweaks I have to do to the program, just to make it recover a little faster, but there'll be a lot of time for that. Anyways, that's it until a few seconds from now.
Alrighty then. I have been working on this. Well, I worked on it for about a day yesterday, trying to program it, working on the software, programming it, tweaking it, and it just really was having a heck of a time getting it to work right. And yesterday I was researching the issues, and I was trying to find information what was I trying to find information of? I think it had something to do with, so what was going on was I was testing this, and it would test, and it would work fine, and then it would not work fine. And I would make changes to the settings, and it would work fine, and then it would not work fine. And the thing I noticed was that the servo was jumping all over the place. And I thought maybe it was a problem with the voltage readings I was getting, because they were kind of jumpy too. And so I was looking for some information on that, and I can't remember what exactly I found, but something I found made me stop and think about something I had been told when I was getting some training as a Epson authorized repair technician. And one of the things the guy told me was, if your device acts like it's losing its mind, then it's most likely hardware. And one of the posts I read said that was in regard to shielding. They were having an issue similar to mine, and they were asking how to shield their wires. And the guy asking the question realized that what was really going on was that his servo wires were running next to some other wires that were inducing noise in the lines, and that was giving erroneous readings or erroneous signals to the servo, and his servo was jumping all over the place. And he rerouted the lines, and the problem went away. And some people mentioned putting ferrite beads on stuff and whatever. And so I came out this morning, and I didn't even bring my computer. I shortened the wires up, ran it on these ferrite beads, and the first thing I noticed was that the wires was just draped over this coil right here, which is the sensor for the ignition. And so what I think was going on was that the ignition was inducing random signals into the servo, making it jump all over the place. anyways, I started it up and I did some testing with the load, and lo and behold, the whole thing is working fine. So apparently that's... So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this up and show you that it seems to be working. So you can see that if I put a load on it up to about 5 amps, I think this thing really just can't, the motor, the weed eater motor can't handle much more than about 5 amps. Plus I think I have the throttle limited. So a couple of things I did was, one, I bumped the idle up so that it didn't have to ramp so high when it was bringing it didn't have to ramp the engine up so high when it was trying to get to the right voltage, and it also it gives it a more of a stable voltage. The Pololu gets its power from the battery, which also gets its power from the generator, and then that goes through a buck converter, and that gives it the 5 volts it needs to run, and also it powers the servo. So there's always, when this load control's on, there's always a load on this. But yeah, as you see, you can bump the load up, and when it increases the throttle, and then you bump the load down and it decreases the throttle. So it's working. I'm not going to mess with it anymore. All it was just some wire management. So anyways, the next video will be a detailed explanation of the code and how everything works. So later.